Hey everybody, it's Mr. Carr again. Today we're going to be talking about our last target of the unit, 2.3, compositions. So this is our last thing we're going to be doing with our reflections. Let's talk about what a composition is. A composition is when two or more transformations are combined to form a new transformation. That's it. So there's nothing actually new today in terms of what your process is going to be. We are doing compositions, which is a combination. It could be a translation followed by a rotation. Okay, it could be a reflection followed by a translation, something like that. Okay, there is one special type, and that's called a glide reflection. That's a type of composition that is a combination of a translation and a parallel reflection. I know there's not a lot of space in there, okay? But that's what causes a glide reflection, is that there has to be this parallel idea to the translation and reflection. So these are a couple examples here. So when you look at this, the glide part is the shifting right here. There's my translation. Well, if it moves in that direction, this is my line of reflection. So then it does this right here where it reflects that way. Okay, that's the glide reflection. When I go here, this is now the glide, and then there's the reflection. Okay, same thing with this other example over here. In this case, instead of translating first or doing the glide, this one technically does the reflection. Whoops, didn't want that extra mark there. Reflection followed by a glide. Okay, and again, it reflects over a horizontal line like this, and then moves in a horizontal direction. I could do something very similar. I don't have a lot of space to do this. Oh, yeah, let's try this one. Yeah, that's reflecting the x-axis. So let me just draw a very rough diagram here. I don't have to do this one where it's going like on a horizontal line like that. I can do a glide reflection where it does something like this. Let's just do a triangle right here. Let's say I shift it down to this, and then I reflect it over to here. Okay, that's also, so this would be the first version, and then there's this second version. So it's just this, I can do this one where it's shifting vertically as long as the reflection is also a vertical, is reflecting over a vertical line. All right, so let's do some of these. So find the image of a glide reflection. So we have the vertices of ABC are at 2, 1. So we got A, so then 5, 3 for B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's B, and C is at 6, 2. All right, find the coordinates of the image of ABC after the glide reflection. So a new thing to show you, and that's using our prime notation. Okay, so what I have is double prime. So prime is the first image, which is another way of saying my first transformation. Okay, the double prime, that's my second image. Okay, and so that means that's my second transformation. So that's what this means here. If you see the double tick marks there, that is double prime. That is the second step in the process. So in the way you're thinking, if I start with the pre-image, it leads to the first image prime. Then that means prime is the pre-image for the double prime. That's all. Okay, so the first step is to translate. And we're going to follow this rule here. So x minus 8, y stays the same. So every single x value is going to be subtracted by 8. So for a prime, I'm going to have negative 6, 1. B prime, I'm going to have 5 minus 8 is a negative 3 and a positive 3. And then C prime is going to give me, let's see here, 6 minus 8 is a negative 2, positive 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and plot those points down. And I'm going to do a different color just so you can kind of see the differences. So we've got negative 6, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 6, 1. Negative 3, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And negative 2, positive 2. So there's A prime, B prime, and C prime. Okay. Now my final step is going to go down and reflect in the x-axis. So if you remember from our previous lesson, what's going to happen if I can just do it on the graph, I'm going to take A prime and just move it one space down to the x-axis. I'm gonna go one more space to get double prime, okay? And I wanna do a different color here. So A double prime. B is gonna go 1, 2, 3 spaces down, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 spaces down. And then C is gonna go 1, 2 down, so 1, 2 down from there. So there's my double prime for everything. And that's it, okay? So that is going to be my glide reflection. It translated and then reflected this way, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and label these points too, because that was -6, -1, -3, -3, -2, -2. All right, and that's it. So I'm gonna go over a few more examples, but everything is pretty much the same. And sometimes we've gotta work backwards a little bit, but all you gotta do is just follow the directions in order. And the other part that I see that people make mistakes on is when you do your second transformation, you have to do it to the prime. So like when I look at this one here, I translated that here, and then this is the one I reflected. I see that as a very common thing. People will take this and translate and then reflect. Okay, don't go back to the original image. It has to be the prime is the one that turns into double prime. Okay, so you go from non-prime to prime, then to double prime. Okay, so we have endpoints of CD are at -2, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's C, and D is at -1, 1, 2, 3. So I have a line segment here. Graph the image of CD after this composition. So the first thing is to graph a reflection over the line x equals 1. So I'm going to graph my vertical line x equals 1. And let's go red again. So C is going to be 1, 2, 3 away. So 1, 2, 3 away. There's C prime. D is at 1, 2 spots away. So we're going to go 2 spots there for D prime. Okay. And then my last step is a 90-degree clockwise about the origin. All right. So I am rotating around the origin here. And again, I am rotating this one. Okay. So I'm not trying to rotate the first one. I'm rotating this one. So this is going to go 90 degrees clockwise. It's going to go somewhere down this way. Okay. So when I do that, let's say here, C prime, if I rotate it 90 degrees this way, trying to remember here, I'm actually going to just spin my part here. Okay. So it's going to be 90 degrees that way. So it's a positive 6, -1, 2, 3, 4. So C double prime is going to be at a +6, -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's double prime. And then D is going to be at 1, 2, 3 to the right. And then 1, 2, 3 down. So 3, -3. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Losing track here. Okay. All right. And I forgot to write down the other points. So when I did that, that was going to be at C prime was at, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so 4, 6. And then D prime is at 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay. And again, watch the path of this. Started with this segment here. It reflects over this vertical line, x equals 1. Then it rotates, okay? This is doing the 90-degree clockwise rotation to get down there. Okay. So here we want to tell our rule. I've given you the transformation on the graph, and now you want to tell the rule. And remember, the rule starts from non-prime to prime to double prime. Okay, it has to go in that order. So the very first thing I'm going to look at is how do I get from A to A prime and C to C prime and B to B prime? Well, that's reflection, okay? You can see that, especially with C and C prime being on the x-axis, this is reflecting over the x-axis. Or you could say y equals 0. All right, when I name this rule, you have to say both things. You have to say reflection and what it's reflecting over. If it's a different line, say that line. But you have to say those two pieces of information. Then the next rule is, how do I get from prime to double prime? So I kind of just focus on like one part here to here. And I look at that. That's a translation. So since I'm writing a translation, remember it has to follow this format. I start with x, y, and then I'm going to write what happens to the x and what happens to the y. So since a prime is going to go, let's see here, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. It's going to be x plus 6. And then it goes 2 up. So it's y plus 2. So that's it. If I give you a graph, you just write both of those rules down. It's got to be a step-by-step process. All right. Last of our compositions, last example to go over. Okay, so same thing. And again, I personally just like to focus on one letter. As long as you have that clear and then, double check some of the other points to make sure it's not like confused between a reflection and a rotation, something like that. But as long as you are doing it to one point, should be the same to all the points then. Okay, so for rule 1, I'll go from A to A prime. So you might look at that and say, oh, it's reflected. But look at the rest of the shape. B is going here. C is kind of going there. This is a rotation. So naming a rotation, I have to have at least 2 pieces of information, preferably 3. And I'll make sure to highlight that part. Okay, so when I look at this, the direction it's going is, it's going from the first quadrant to the second quadrant there in that order. That's going 90 degrees for where it's at. And it's also going counterclockwise. Okay, now remember from before when we did our rotations, I could, if I really wanted to, I could state that it's actually going this way, which then means it's a 270 degree clockwise. That's fine. If you really want to do it that way, it doesn't matter. Okay, just gotta, like, both are acceptable here. Because I started with the counterclockwise, I'm going to stick with that one. So the rule is, here's the first piece of information. I need to say it's a 90 degree. I need to say the direction, so counterclockwise rotation. And I need to say where it's rotating around. What's my center of rotation? For this class, it's always going to be the origin. So it's a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation around the origin. So 3 pieces of information: degree, direction, origin. Okay, that's what you have to have, all 3 for naming this. From there, we're going to look at, how do I get from A prime here to A double prime? Well, when I look at that, it looks like it's all being reflected. It looks like that triangle is flipping over. So that means that's going to be 2 pieces of information. I'm going to reflect over the x-axis. Okay, because again, look at that. That's A and A prime and A double prime are 1 away from the x-axis in both directions. B prime and B double prime are 2 away, 2 up and 2 down. So it's the x-axis that's my line of reflection. So 2 pieces of information there. We need to say reflect and what it's reflecting over. Okay, that's it. That's compositions. Okay, so that's how we're going to wrap up this unit. We are doing these multi-step transformations. That is it for Unit 2, well, 2.3, and then Unit 2 is in general. So get ready for the test soon. Okay, I will talk to everybody later. Have a good day.